everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Happiness Matters, the show with me, Beanie Man, and Mo the Service Dog, who is somewhere in the office here. And today I have an amazing guest here, Jeri Morgan. And we connected through Angel Tessie, I believe, online. And, well, Jeri's going to tell us her story. And I think it is amazing because I know a lot of people who are out there watching the show are stuck in corporate because you think you have to, and you might be scared to take the leap of faith, you know. So Jeri is here to share her story. Welcome to the show, Jeri, and I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about you. So you were in corporate for a long while.
Oh yes, I was in corporate forever. I worked 23 years for the same company. I was in the sunglass industry. I was with them here in Colorado, moved to New York, moved back here, kind of moved through all these different roles. And my husband, he pretty much had the same story. He was with the same organization for 15 years in corporate IT. And, we had a conversation one night, and, we both were having similar experiences in our careers that, were not necessarily very positive. I mean, we were not energized by what we were doing. We were really struggling with going in, because as you kind of go through, all these things that you're supposed to, like if you do this and this and this, you kind of
follow the line. You should yourself.
Right, exactly. and we had found ourselves kind of in these roles where we made really good money. We had a lot of vacation. We had good health insurance, but we weren't happy. We weren't enjoying what we were doing, and he had said, this is, this business, this is what I really want to do. And I was like, let's do it.
Good for you. And I know that because, I mean, I was in the same situation, I was like, well, for me, it was trying to figure myself out. I mean, being a military spouse for ever and a day, and then the mom, and then it's like when the kids were old enough and we decided that Colorado was home, it's like, okay, who am I? What do I want to do? Because, so I was a mortgage loan officer for a minute and a half. Well, maybe not even a minute, less than a year. And I was miserable. But it was something that I was like, oh, it's legitimate and I should do this because I want to help people, now I can help them with the biggest investment. And we tell ourselves those stories, to keep us in the misery, because it's like, oh, that's secure. It pays the bills. Well, for me, it didn't because I closed nothing. I made zero.
Right.
That was really not it for me.
Right.
It was that, well, people look at it, it's like, oh, you're a mortgage loan officer. It's like, ooh. So I totally get that, but a lot of times, I mean, we have the bills, we have the mortgages, and we have kids, so we feel we're stuck. So we think we are.
Yeah. And even, especially with what we did, I mean, we were both in our 40s. We were pretty settled. And really a lot of the people that we worked with, or, even our families were like, what are you doing? And when we kind of explained, well, we're not happy with this, it was kind of like, well, what do you mean?
Well, we're going through the motions.
Right.
And we're telling ourselves we're happy because, this here allows us to do some here.
Right.
And we go on to, and I call it the hamster wheel thing, and the group think.
Right.
Because that's what's expected. That's what's the norm.
Right.
And that is that's what you should do. And most people are not happy. I mean, they might be content,
right,
but not happy.
Right.
And I totally get what you're saying. So it's like you were content because you were making the money, but you were lacking the happiness.
Right. Absolutely.
It did nothing for you. It didn't light you up. You weren't excited to get up in the morning and it's like, oh, yay, I get to go do my job again today,
Oh, right. No, I mean, it was definitely, it was like a sense of dread, kind of when I would have to drive in there. It's just like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? And even when I finally made the jump where I'm like, okay, we're going to do this thing. We're going to do it, we're going to do it full time, which was a very scary thing to do, but it's just like, we have to do this. But then after I did it, I was gone 6 months, and like I didn't even, think about it. I didn't even miss it. And then I was kind of like, why did I wait? Why did I wait so long to do this?
Because we're stuck in groupthink,
Right.
and then you brought up that fear thing,
Mm-hmm.
and really fear is just a 4-letter word.
Right.
And I found out, I mean, people are like, oh my God, you're so brave for doing this and doing
Right.
that. And I always giggle and I said, no, I'm scared shitless.
Right.
Okay. I mean, it's like, this is so out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at this point, I don't really have a comfort zone anymore, but that's not the
Right.
point. But the point is like, when you push through your fear, you do it while you're scared.
Right.
Do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let fear stop you, because fear is just a 4-letter word.
Right.
It's just a 4-letter word, and it has zero value unless the value we give it.
Right.
So if you're like, oh my God, and if you let that paralyze you, you give it a whole lot of value.
Yeah. Agreed.
Just like money, the paper money is printed on, before they print it on there, it's just paper. It's just white.
Right.
It has zero value.
Uh-huh.
And then we stamp something on there, hopefully with a lot of zeros.
Right.
And that now it has a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with fear.
Right.
So guys, if you want to do something, if you're miserable where you're at, I'm not saying like throw everything away right now and, make sure you can do it, because we don't want you to be homeless and all of those things, but you can start your dream on the side. You can start on the side. And if your dream is so big and you have this urge to really do it, then jump in, do it. Build the plane and flight. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I made the decision too last year. And it's like, oh boy, know what?
Right.
And we go along. And here's the thing. It's like, once you decide what you think about, you bring about. And it's like, once you made the decision, is it amazing how people and circumstances and everything is just falling into place?
Oh yeah. And, and I'll tell you, like, even when we made the decision where I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this full time now. We didn't officially have the business lined up that would, support our family. But once we made that decision and that was what we were doing, and there was no other options, because, those corporate jobs, I mean, they were a cushion, they were a cushion for us. But it was like, ever since then, everything has fallen into place. And that was 5 years ago now, that we were like, okay, this is what we're doing. But it is, once we focus on that and you kind of laser in on what you're doing, this is the thing.
Right.
It's all fallen into place like it was supposed to.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, because we all have a purpose. I believe each of us, every single one of us has a purpose. And we're just listening to all the naysayers and all the other scared people who are afraid to go after their dreams, and we push our purpose and our dream on the back burner.
Right.
And we ignore it because we're so afraid what people might think.
Right.
And we're afraid to get judged. Well, newsflash, you get judged anyway. There will always be somebody out there judging.
That's true.
But they're all coming from their own insecurities. And a lot of times I find too, it's jealousy.
Yeah.
Because you have the guts to do and follow your heart, but they don't.
Right.
So they have to work on dimming your light, so they can feel a little bit better in that moment. But long term, they're really sad, miserable people. I mean, that's it. So it's like, understand that when all those naysayers and the judging people and all of those, it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It really doesn't. It has everything to do with them and their insecurities and their fears. So guys, just follow your heart and follow your purpose. It's like, for me, I didn't know what my purpose was. I mean, I do what I do on purpose with purpose now. I've been doing my whole life. But it was just something that was natural to me. It's just, I thought that's just who I was.
Right.
So I found that this is my purpose. And there's so many of us that we have that, there's something we've done forever and a day. We don't even give it a thought. And it's like, oh, wait, maybe you should give it a thought.
Right.
because it just might be your purpose.
Right. And I think, I think a lot of times people, they get so wrapped up in the day to day of, just kind of, going to work and raising your kids and, grocery shopping and, and really just taking that time to yourself and really, really reflecting if, kind of the, because our work life, I mean, we spend more time in our work life and, kind of
That's
what
the
we do there
truth.
than anything else. So it's just, if you're not content there, if you're not happy there, I think that throws, everything out of whack. So it's like you really have to, take some time to kind of, reflect, if it's, if what you're doing is, at one point it may have made sense, but maybe right now, something's off and kind of like what you said, you can start things, that are, kind of your passion on the side, while you're still working too.
Yeah. I love what Jim Rohn said. Let's see if I can remember it right. He says about his job.
Right.
How did he say it? Oh my gosh, I'm having a brain cramp. But he said something about it's like his job was he was working to pay his bills, and his side hustle is to build his fortune.
Right.
And I love that. And I wish I could remember that quote right at the top of my head, but it is so true. Oh no, this is what he said. I'm working part-time. No, I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune. I think that's what he said. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So guys, you can start, and you can start right now. Right now. I mean, if you're waiting for the perfect time, guess what? It's never coming. That there is no such thing as the perfect time. But once you start, you'll be amazed how everything seems to align. And looking back, it's like, it was the perfect time. Right now is the perfect time. It's like, do it. Do it. I get excited, when I talk with my friends and my clients and everything, and they start to get it.
Right.
And then they take that leap of faith and they just start doing it. And then they come, they're like, oh my gosh, Beanie, you're not going to believe what happened. And I smile inside. It's like, oh, I totally believe what happened because I know how this works.
Right.
But it's just so fun to watch them light up when, the things that I've been saying now are starting to happen for them as well.
Right.
It's like, it's just so much fun. It is so much fun. And it's like, and I mean, and as entrepreneurs and business owners, I mean, we have days that are not that great.
Oh, right.
But because we're happy in what we're doing and we love what we do, it's not detrimental. It's not like, oh my gosh, I need to quit this job. And I need this, there's none of that. We're like, well, that was a learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, well, even the thing that my husband and I always talk about is, like when you're in a corporate job or when you're working for someone else, a lot of what you do and kind of the direction of, the customer experience is not dictated by you, and so even, when we have awful days, we're driving our own ship, so if something didn't go right, is there something that we need to adjust or or even with the amount of money that you need to come in, you're kind of in charge of how how the customers are treated and and how the sales process goes. So even when it's a bad day, it's like you have the ability to go through it and fix those things where in a corporate environment we didn't.
Absolutely. You just have to, like, well, hopefully someday something will change.
Yeah. Right.
In corporate. It's like by owning your own business, it's like, wow.
Right.
That did not work well. What do I need to do to adjust, or what do we need to adjust?
Right.
To not have a repeat on that, or to improve that situation, or whatever. And I mean, like you said, really, we can do it in that moment. Like right then and there. We don't have to hope that the higher ups in will get the message eventually.
Right.
And eventually they might change the rules and regulations and their processes and I mean, that can take what?
Years.
1, 5, 10, 100 years.
Right.
And the way things are these days, you know, even in corporate, it used to be job security. It's not anymore.
No.
It's not anymore. It's like, I think I read a report the other day that people change jobs like every 2 to 3 years or 5 years most, something like that.
Yeah, and truthfully, and even when I talk to people are always shocked, you know, that I was with the same company as long as I was, because it's not, you know, it's not typical now. It's not expected, and you know, and truthfully anymore, it's not advantageous either.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Because it's like we get stagnant, and it's just like that status quo. And back to, you know, the things that we're just going through the motions. I call it we're an autopilot.
Yeah.
You know, we're not even in the moment. We're not paying attention. We're just simply reacting.
Right.
You know, and we're just really going through the motions, and we don't even think about it. It's like brushing your teeth, for instance. It's like you brush your teeth. Are you actually physically present when you do that, when you reach for your toothbrush and you put in the toothpaste, or is it more of an automatic thing?
Right.
You know, I mean, for me, most days it's really just an automatic thing.
Absolutely.
We don't even think about it. And it's the same thing that the routines that we have to go through life. You know, and before we know it, we're stuck in this rut. And I call it the hamster wheel. I mean, we're just running on that hamster wheel.
Right.
And we think if we're running faster, we'll get somewhere. No, you're still on the hamster wheel. You just go faster nowhere.
Right.
Get off the hamster wheel, you know, be in the now, become aware of your daily, what are you doing? What are you saying? What are you thinking? You know, it's like, once you have that awareness, you can change things.
Right.
You know, it's like, as long as you're in that rut on that hamster wheel,
right,
you're just going through the motions. You're running that program. You know, it's like that operating system on your computer.
Yeah.
It's running in the background. You know it's there, running. Okay, you get frustrated when something doesn't work out. It's like, oh, it's a Windows thing.
Right.
Yeah, we get frustrated. Well, it's the same thing with us. It's running, and we have programs that are running in the background, you know, that are directing our everyday life and our moves and our thoughts and everything. Is like, pay attention to that background programming, to the background noise.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's like, yeah, and then once you realize that, because now you stop running on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Now you're off that hamster wheel. And it's scary at first.
Oh, yeah.
It really is, because it's like, oh, wait, on the hamster wheel, I was just going, you know, I mean, I was just going, but now it's like, you know, with the hamster wheel, you have this direction. Now that you're off the hamster wheel, you have all of this. You know, and that can be overwhelming, but it's like, and that's where your passion comes in. You know, because once you know your passion and what you really want to do, what lights you up, what excites you, what really gets your juices flowing, what makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning, that is the direction you want to go in. Just focus on the direction. Don't worry about the details. That's my thing, you know. It's like, don't worry about the details. It's like the who's, the when's, the what's, the how's, and don't micromanage. Just know where you're going, and then be open to receive, and you'll be amazed. I know I am. I'm still every day. I was like, whoa. You know, it's like the people that I attract now. You know, and I know you do the same thing. It's like, wow, where did all these people come from all of a sudden? Well, they were always there. It's just your awareness wasn't there. You were paying attention somewhere else. You know, and it's just like,
right.
But isn't it fun though?
No, I absolutely agree. And even that's the thing that my husband and I always talk about was, you know, the kind of people that you meet as an entrepreneur, and you know, the experiences that we have. We never, you know, we never would have known these people had we not decided, you know, to do this. So we're always just, you know, so grateful, you know, because I mean, like the people that have this kind of mindset are just different. They're, you know, they're different than the kind of people that I worked with when I was in corporate. I love those people, but you know, they're, you know, the you know, kind of what you were saying, like the blinders were on, and it's like there's all these other, avenues and opportunities that, that we weren't, aware of now. So, I mean, it's just,
Right.
it's unbelievable, the people that we get to help, and the people that we get to meet as a result of, just doing what we were meant to do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you. And and I understand why people, stay on that hamster wheel. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
call it the hamster wheel. I
Right.
understand why they stay on there, because as humans, we want to
Mm-hmm.
feel safe and secure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is one of our, I mean, we want to feel loved.
Right.
We want to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are really the two main things as humans that we
Right.
really need to survive and
Mm-hmm.
strive on. And I mean, when you listen to the news, because I mean, do good news sell? Not really.
Right.
Okay. Bad news sells.
Mm-hmm.
So what we hear is all the negative stories. Very,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think for every 10 negative stories or 20 negative stories, I think there's one positive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're so conditioned, and I call it the fear mongering, but that's me.
Right.
But we're so conditioned to be afraid. But then
Mm-hmm.
my thing is fear controlled. Yeah. Anyway, you can control people if they're scared.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. And it's just wrong. There's
Right.
really no reason to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, can you fail? Yes. Well, actually, no, because unless you really tried all the bazillion possibilities that are out there, you can't fail. You can quit, but I don't think you can fail.
Right.
So do we fall? Yeah,
Every day.
all the time.
Uh-huh.
Get back up.
Right.
That's the key. It's like, there's really nothing, unless it's like really your life is in danger
Mm-hmm.
of you dying or bodily harm.
Right.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a 4-letter word. Fear is a 4-letter word.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your passion and you're scared, do it scared.
Mm-hmm.
Do it scared. And then you'll be amazed how the fear just fizzles away.
Right.
I mean, there's many things I jumped in, and my thing is like, opportunity comes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going, oh boy.
Right.
Oh boy, now what?
Uh-huh.
But it's like, okay, I'll do it anyway. I remember the first time so I did a radio show with a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
It was Happy News Now here on a local community radio here in town, in
Right.
Colorado Springs. And I remember when we had our launch party, and she was in the studio, and we had like a vendor event, I mean, it was a party.
Mm-hmm.
She comes out with the microphone and sticks that microphone in my face.
Oh dear.
Exactly. I'm like, what do I say?
Right.
Oh my gosh. She goes, you'll be fine. And I tell her that, and she goes, no, you weren't scared. I said, oh my God, I was mortified.
Right.
She goes, I couldn't tell. I said, oh, I could.
Uh-huh.
I mean, everything in my stomach was turning, and
Uh-huh.
it was just, ooh. And then, I mean, I had the last segment on our show with Matters of Perspective,
Mm-hmm.
doing what I do now, just on a tiny scale,
Right.
But every time I was on, I was so nervous.
Uh-huh.
And there was a lot of ums and ahs and I was
Uh-huh.
scared, but I did it anyway.
Right.
And then a couple of years later now, when I went to record my first podcast,
Mm-hmm.
the general manager was at the radio station, now has his radio station at studio809radio.com, and he does podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I went in and I go in and I record my podcast for the month in one swoosh, because it's beanie bits. They're like short little 5-minute blurps,
Right.
And I recorded all of them the first week in January, the first couple of days, I think January 2nd or something. I went in, I recorded all of them. And he looks at me, he said, you've been practicing. No.
Uh-huh.
Why do you say that? He says, oh my gosh, you sound so professional.
Uh-huh.
There were no ums, no ahs, no, wow, what happened?
Right.
I laughed and I said, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is my heart. This is my passion. Was I scared? You betcha.
Right.
Because I didn't know what I was going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it anyway. And then I'm on TV here now too, on a regular basis.
Right.
Cameras scare me. They scare me now. It's just another person.
Uh-huh.
You know, am I nervous going on? A little bit.
Yeah.
It's getting less and less and less and less. But the point really is like, because this is my passion, I want to get the message to people that happiness matters.
Right.
You can raise your vibration. You can have the life you want. It's like, how can I get it to the masses?
Right.
Well, not by doing one-on-ones,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
It's by really putting myself out there and getting over myself and pushing through that fear. Now it's just fun.
Right.
But the first few times, I was like,
that's so funny. And even like a lot of people, they hesitate to doing like Facebook Live videos even, and I always say just start doing those things. And if you do them, every day for like a month, you get comfortable with it. And it's the same thing you're talking about. Then when, kind of opportunities come up, you're not going to be as nervous because it's just something that you've done.
Right. And I bet you and your husband, when you decided to jump in both feet, I bet you guys were scared.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. It's like, we jumped in both feet. We had 18-month-old twins. Everybody thought
I can't even imagine.
Right. They thought we were nuts, but it was just, it was the right thing for us. And that was what we talked about. It's like, okay, this is the thing that we're doing. There's, we're not going back that way. We're going this way, and so, no matter, what has happened, we've had good months and we've had bad months, but, our focus is the same, and, and everything has worked out. But the thing that's awesome about it is, there's, like this, when I worked corporate, I would have never done anything like this, so it's just like when you take that leap, you're opening yourself up to, opportunities and, different things that you never would have done. Like even, I was an operations girl in corporate, but like now it's like, shoot, I'm an accounting lady, I'm a marketing lady, I'm a sales lady, I'm a networker. And these are all things I wouldn't have discovered about myself if I hadn't have made that leap. I would have never known.
Oh, and I totally get that. And as entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting out, you're wearing all the hats.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes all at the same time. It's like, this is overwhelming. And yes, it is overwhelming. And I remember when I first started dabbling into, and I did network marketing, I did this, and I was like, but it wasn't for me because it wasn't my passion.
Right.
But I knew I wanted to be my own boss. That part I knew for a long while.
Right.
So, but it's like, oh, I can do what I want. I feel like sleeping in. And that's the dangerous side.
Right.
Of being an entrepreneur and being in your business on your own. You have to discipline yourself.
Yes.
And I learned that it took me a hot minute because I'm stubborn. And whatever. But you have to discipline yourself. Like, especially even if you have a home office, if you work out of your house and you have an office there, get dressed as if you were going to your work, because this is your work now.
Right.
But I mean, fortunately, we also have the opportunity because we're self-employed, something happens with the kids, heaven forbid they have to something, or with the animals, you can just take off and go. You don't have to worry about getting fired because you have to take another day off or whatever, so that is not there. But the discipline that we need to have and get organized, that's huge.
Right.
That's huge. You need to do that, because if you don't, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, and even part of our struggle when we were home based in the beginning, we kind of had the opposite struggle because we worked from home, that we kind of were finding ourselves always working, and we were having we were having a harder time kind of separating that. So I mean, I think all of that is important as far as becoming very structured as far as what what your days are supposed to be, and what when you're going to be having family time, because that's the thing, like when you do something that you love, that's your passion, you love it so much, that even sometimes it's hard to pull away from that and create
Get
family
yourself
time.
a planner.
Right.
that has the hours in there and
Uh-huh.
schedule and stick with it.
Right.
So, and this was like 2 months from now.
Yeah.
My months are not empty, guys. This is 2 months from now and I haven't filled it in yet.
Right.
But no, you really have to be, you have to be disciplined for yourself
Right.
and really treat that as a job.
Right.
This is work and you're the boss. You are the everything. I mean, you're the accountant, you're the admin, you are the marketing, you are
Right.
the social media person, you are the editor, you are the
Right.
everything,
Uh-huh.
until you attract people to help you.
Right.
I'm so grateful. I have a team now.
Yeah.
Like, squeak.
Right. That is amazing, but even that's the other thing is just, getting comfortable, delegating, some of those things to other people. And when you get to that point, that is, that's amazing.
It is very amazing. And it's like, because I'm so used to doing everything myself and it's my way, and to let go. I mean, your business is your baby. This is your baby. I mean, you birthed that sucker,
right?
Raised that sucker, and you're building that little sucker, or sucker, whatever,
right?
This is your baby. So bringing people in is like they have to match with you.
Right.
It's like, my thing is like, I'm not so worried about what you look like on paper. Let's talk.
Right.
That is more important to me. So now I have a PR person. I delegated out my social media stuff, and I have an amazing assistant now because she is very organized and detail oriented. Not it.
Right. Right.
Not it at all. But it's like, but we need that around us. And people say it's like, oh, it's like build on your weakness. No. Acknowledge your weakness and hire your weakness.
Right.
And it's like, and if you can't afford it money wise, figure out a way you can barter.
Right.
You'd be amazed how many people are willing to barter and trade your service for their service.
Right.
Or whatever, but you have to ask. So, but I mean, it is just follow your heart, follow your passion, and if you cannot afford, if you're scared to walk away from the secure job or I should say secure job that you have right now, start on the side, put your toe in the water, get moving into that direction,
right?
And it's like, I mean, Jeri's an example of that. I'm an example of that. It's like, you can do this. You can do this. And you'd be amazed how many people are out there wanting to see you succeed and willing to help you.
Right.
Join is like, I joined the Southern Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce here in town. Amazing organization.
Right.
And because I had that organization in my back pocket behind me, it helped me to really say, you know what? I'm done shooting myself. I'm done. I'm out. I'm doing me now. And what I get from them is like, oh my God, that is awesome. Who do you need to be introduced to? Who would you like to meet? Go out, network, let people know what you want to do.
Right.
Because if you don't share the information, if you don't share with people what you want to do, they don't know how to help you.
Right.
Right? So
absolutely.
It's like,
and there's so many people that they do want to help.
Oh yeah. And there's so many resources out there. It's like, you can get free business coaching at the Small Business Development Center. I think the workforce centers, they have SCORE is a phenomenal organization. And I know they're nationwide as well. I mean, there's so many resources all around you to help you get started. It's like business plan. I'm like, I know I need one, but did I mention I have an admin now? I have an awesome assistant.
Right.
We're working on a business plan. Because it's like, no, I know I need one, but that's detail stuff and boring, and that's not it. But I know I need it. So now we're working on that. And she tells me, she goes, okay, this is your task. This is what you need to do. This is what I need from you by this time.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're like, okay.
That I can do. And then she puts it all together because she is detail oriented, because she is organized.
Right.
And I'm a big picture person. It's like, what do you mean? I already know what the end result looks like. It's like, okay, you're going to build the house? How are you going to build the house? I'm like, oh, hire a crew?
Right, exactly.
Right, but that's really what that is. But I mean, there's so many resources out there, and people want to see you succeed. I want to see you succeed. Jeri wants to see you succeed, you know, and you can totally do this. And then, hey, come on my show, share your story. Let me know, you know, because it's like, hey, because of something you heard or because something somebody said to you, you had the guts to do what you're doing. You know, it's like, it is so exciting. And there's enough out there for everybody. Even if it's an industry that is very saturated, trust me, there's enough for everybody. Don't let that deter you. Don't say, like, oh my God, there's already so many. Okay, that's how many people on this planet? Okay, and it's like my type of, my style coaching, my personality doesn't match with everybody. I get that, neither does yours. You know, there's enough for everybody. And that's what's so beautiful. It doesn't matter what your passion is, doesn't matter what you want to do, go after it. And you can get to the top at it. Just believe in yourself. We believe in you. Right? So, and then let's I mean, our time is like way up, but that's okay. Let's talk real quick. Twins?
Yes.
At 40?
Yes. Yep, I had twins at 40. I have a boy and a girl. They're 8 now. And Zachary and Zoe. And
nice.
but I'll say, when we started the business, you know, it was just funny because that was like the first year we were networking, and I was kind of going to all these networking events, you know, when I was pregnant, and people that we met then. I mean, it's just like, you know, kind of like the business, because we're, you know, when you're a family business, you know, it's all kind of, you know, intertwined. And so I'll have, you know, people email me like, send me pictures of those kids in those, you know, Halloween costumes. So, you know, it's all kind of part of who we are. So, you know, it's a lot of fun.
And you know what? How lucky for these kids to grow up with entrepreneur parents. You know, I think that is awesome. They already are ahead of the game.
No.
when they're ready.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, my daughter, she's already an engineer. She'll sit down and start working on computers. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Nice. Just wait till once they have their first business, like renting out their bicycles or something.
Right.
Who knows? No, I think that's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. So anyway, Jeri, thank you so much for being on the show, for sharing your story, your passion, you know, and hopefully it inspired others to, you know, it's like, oh, you know what? I can do this. This is what I really want to do. Get started. Start it as a side hustle.
Right. Well, thank you.
You know, so thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, be happy, be kind, be love, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.